What's up, 8th grade? Mr. Agnos here, and this video is for homework 15-2, and it's the next step in our study of categorical data. So in 15-1, we learned, that categorical data is information that rather than having like a measure, a length, a width, a weight, a time, it's information that can put you into categories. What type of tree, elm tree, pine tree, smoker versus non-smoker, right? Purebred dog versus mutt. And that information can be really, really useful, right? And you can identify patterns and trends within that information. For example, if you're, smoking versus non-smoking, if you're a smoker, you're much more likely to have cardiovascular disease, lung cancer, and that's going to affect all kinds of things from health insurance to life insurance, life expectancy. So it's really important to identify trends within categorical data. So in 15-1, we looked at, what types of questions can you ask to collect that data? Well, in 15-2, we're organizing that data into what is called a frequency table. All right. So let's look at question number 1 here, and you see we got a table here, and we have two variables here, right? The first variable is gender. Right, here's our first variable, and the second variable is walks to school, and then each of those variables has a category, right? For walks to school, it's a yes or a no, and for gender, we have girl or boy, right? And then we can collect this information and look for patterns, right? All right, so let's see what they got here. It says you ask 50 of your classmates how they get to school. There are 15 girls who walk to school and 10 who do not. There are 5 boys who walk to school and 20 who do not. Construct a two-way frequency table to show the results of the survey. All right, so let's see here. It's the first piece of information that they give me is you ask 50 of your classmates. So we know that the total number of people that we surveyed is 50. So if you look at your chart here, that number would actually go here, okay? These other boxes that are for totals, these are totals of subgroups, right? The total number of girls would go here. The total number of boys would go here. And then when you add those two together, right, you get the total number of people, for example. All right, so we've already taken care of the first piece of information that we have 50 people in the survey. There are 15 girls who walk to school. Piece of cake. We're going to go to girls, walks to school, yes, and we put a 15 there. 10 who do not. So we're going to go to girls, and we're going to say walks to school, no. All right. And then we have a total here. So we need to add these two up. When you are filling out these tables, the tables get a lot messier than this one. Be very, very careful when you add. If you start making a little mistake, you're going to have to go back and figure out where you made the mistake. And it's a pain. Trust me, I know from experience. So add carefully. I got 15, 10. That means 25. Okay, what that means is there was 25 girls total, and 15 of them walk to school, and 10 of them don't. Okay. Now let's look at the boys category. 5 boys who walk to school. So I go to boys, walks to school, yes, I put a 5. And 20 who do not. Look at all these lazy boys getting driven by their mommies to school. All right, boys 5, 20 who do not. So I put a 20 here, and then I add these up, all right? So this tells me a bunch of information. I know that it was evenly split, 25 boys, 25 girls, right? And you can now look for patterns, right? Like just by looking at this, the one number that does stand out to me is this one, right? It seems like by far the vast majority of the boys are not walking to school. The girls it's kind of evenly split, but it definitely seems a little lopsided here. I don't know if that information is useful in any way, right? When you're looking at smoker versus non-smoker, that information is really useful. This information, this is just for learning. All right, we still have 2 boxes that we haven't filled in. All right, so what this box right here represents is the total number of students that walk to school regardless of gender, right? So I have 15 girls and 5 boys that walk to school. That means I have 20 total students that walk to school. Okay, so if I'm just thinking about students in general, regardless of gender, who walk to school, we know we have 20. And then in terms of students who do not walk to school, well, I have 10 plus 20 would be 30. And you can see that this column right here, right, up and down is the columns, left and right is the rows. Okay, so this is a column, a row goes this direction. These add to 50, and these add to 50, right? Because remember, our total number of students is 50. Okay, let's see if I got it. I got it. Again, if you mess up any one of these numbers, it's gonna mark it wrong. So really go slow. This one was pretty easy. There's some that are much messier. So really go slow. All right, let's try one that's a little different. Let's try number 4. All right. This one gives you some of the information. It's almost like a puzzle, and we have to figure out the missing pieces. So the first thing it says, you ask 160 of your classmates how often they send a letter in the mail. So not email, right, but actually write a letter with a paper and pen and send it to grandma or something like that. All right, so we know the total is 160 right there, and that number has already been placed right there. All right. Complete the two-way frequency table to show the results of the survey. All right, well, we know that the total is 160, and that, remember from the last one, that this column here has to add to 160. So right away I say, okay, what's this number? Well, I could do 160 minus 90, and I know that this number has to be 70. Right? So when I finish out this column here for boys, I know that the result needs to add to 70. All right, same thing here along the bottom. I only have one open square, and I know that all 4 of these numbers, this number, this number, this number, and this number, need to add to 160. So let's add the other 3 up and see what is missing. I have 35 plus 35, which is 70, plus 55 is 125. So these 3 boxes together add to 125. And if I subtract that from 160, I get 35. So this has to be a 35. All right, now I am doing this in my head. I am also a math teacher. I highly suggest having some paper, a calculator next to you. I have made mistakes and caused myself some grief. All right, let's keep going here. Look at this column right here. I know that they need to add, right? In this direction, they have to add up to 35. So 15 plus what will give me 35? Well, that has to be at 20. And look at this column right here. Same thing. 15 plus what has to equal 35? Well, this has to be at 20. All right, so it's almost kind of like a puzzle. And then once you have it all filled in, you can look for the patterns and trends, right? All right, going across, I need to fill in these last 2 boxes. So going across this direction, right, I know that these 4 have to add up to 90. So I already have 20, 45, 60, which means this has to be 30. And now for this column, I have 15 plus 10 is 25. 45 plus what is equal to 70? Well, that's got to be 25. Okay, so now I have the column, the table completely filled out. And again, I maybe should have done this at the beginning, but here it's how often do you send a letter, weekly, monthly, yearly, or never. And then on the gender, it's boys or girls. And so we can look for any patterns, like who sends the most letters. Well, we have 20 girls that send them weekly and 15 boys that send weekly, right? So does that tell us anything? Maybe. But over here we have 30 girls that never send letters and 25 boys that never send letters. So I don't know. Again, you could look through this and see if there's any useful information that you might need. All right, let's see if I did this correctly. I did. All right, again, go slow because there's a lot of numbers that I filled in here, and if I messed up one of them, it doesn't tell me which one I messed up. That's the thing. All right, I got time for one more type of question, we're going to go on to number 5 here. All right, this number 5 here, what they've done is they've actually given you 2 surveys. Remember, in the last topic, we had all these surveys. So imagine that you actually gave a survey, like here's survey number 1 right here, and here's survey number 2, and you gave them like the 2 different classes. Now you have to combine these 2 surveys into one, okay, one table of results. So we're going to take what's in these 2 surveys and combine them to one table of results. All right, so we're looking at gender and right-handed or left-handed. Is there a connection between your gender and whether you're right-handed or left-handed? So the first thing we want to know, I'm just going to start, with, I always just start in the upper left, girls that are right-handed. So girls that are right-handed, I have 10 here, and I have 15 here. So I say 10 plus 15 is 25. All right, so I have to combine those 2. All right, girls that are left-handed, I have 5 here, I have 10 here, so that's 15, and now I can add up the total, which would be 40, so there's 40 girls total in this study. All right, let's look at the boys. I have 15 right-handed boys, so I put a 15 here. No, see, I made a mistake already. I didn't add the other one, right? See how easy it is to do that? So I have 15 here, and I have 20 here. So this should be a 35. Left-handed boys, I have 10 plus 5 is 15. Add those up, I get 50. So now I know the total number of boys, the total number of girls, and the total number of kids in general, right, would be the 40 plus the 50 equals, so I have 90 students in total. And then regardless of gender, right, so now I don't even care about the gender, I just care how many people are right-handed. Well, that would be 25 plus 35, which is 60. So I got 60 right-handed kids and 30 left-handed kids, right? And you can now look at that information and see, are there any patterns or trends? I think these left-handed numbers are way high. I don't think there's that many. The percentage is not that high. But anyway, be really careful. Let's see if I was careful. I got it. Okay. They do one thing that is really sneaky on some of the later questions. They will give you 2 surveys just like this. Survey 1 is right here, and survey 2 is right here. But then they will switch the categories. In other words, gender is up here, and which hand is over here on this survey. But then on the second survey, they would put which hand up here and gender over here. And so it's just being sneaky, and they're throwing a curveball at you. So be really careful that if I'm looking for right-handed girls, for this problem, yeah, they were in the same spot, the upper left-hand corner of the survey. But for other questions, they might not be in the same spot. All right, so you really have to be careful. And also, the numbers do get harder. Like here, everything was, multiples of 5, which are easy to add. But the numbers do get a little bit more challenging. Okay, so these are called two-way frequency tables, and they're a way of collecting, they're a way of organizing categorical data. So once we have all that categorical data, we can organize it in a frequency table and then look for patterns, trends, outliers, and so on. All right, make sure you ask lots of questions in class, and I'll see you guys soon.